lacking adequate shelter. So this is not merely a demographic shift or a shelter issue, but it is a systemic crisis rooted in the limited access to land, commodification of housing, compounded threats from impacts of climate change, instability, and urban vulnerabilities. You mentioned a few: poverty and inequality at the bottom line. Across Africa, this growth is not uniform. While rural to urban migration is a factor, much of Africa's urban growth is now gradually coming from within cities themselves. We are witnessing the shift in growth. It's occurring primarily in the secondary and intermediary cities. The rapid urbanization process in Africa, while challenging, also offers powerful opportunities to expand access to decent, affordable housing, service land, and basic services, thus accelerating economic growth and strengthening social cohesion. While cities continue to grow at accelerated rates, it creates the scale needed to justify and attract investments in infrastructure, housing, and essential amenities. Expanding transport networks, affordable housing, digital systems in cities opens the door to improved mobility, greater connectivity, and enhanced productivity. Across the continent, governments and partners are increasingly recognizing urbanization as a driver for inclusive development, enabling them to plan better, mobilize more resources, and implement reforms that make land, housing, and basic services more accessible. But let us reframe how we view housing. Housing is not only a social expenditure, a cost to be minimized, a deficit to be filled. It is the foundation infrastructure for societies, for job dignity, and socio-economic transformation. When we invest in adequate housing, we create construction industries that employ youth, we build resilience against climate shocks, and we provide stability upon which families and communities thrive. What this tells us is very simple. Africa's future is urban. Housing is at the front line of climate adaptation, but opportunities of that urban future should continuously be unlocked. We need to position urbanization and housing development among the highest priorities in our nations and continent. And I'm happy to note that our collaboration with the African Union has resulted in that. Together with UNECA and the African Union Commission, we came up with the harmonized implementation framework for the new urban agenda in Africa. This is a very strategic document that supports member states in the implementation of our global priorities in the continent. I would like to commend the work of the AU, especially the work of the Specialized Technical Committee on Public Service, Local Government, Urban Development, and Decentralization, chaired by my other sister, Honorable Justice, the Minister of Uganda. This committee plays a critical role, and through this committee, we have the African Urban Forum platform to be held every second year just before the World Urban Forum. The work and the service of the committee is commendable, and UN Habitat will always stand with the Commission in advancing the Africa Agenda for the Vision 2063, the Africa we want. At UN Habitat, our response is clear. Across Africa, UN Habitat is supporting over 40 countries with national urban policies, housing strategies, and planning systems. We are focusing on 3 core priorities: ending the global housing crisis, supporting climate-resilient and inclusive cities, strengthening urban governance and finance systems. Globally, this year, 2026, marks a pivotal period for UN Habitat, 10 years after the new urban agenda approved in Quito, Ecuador. It's important that we together evaluate what are the gaps and chart the course for the remaining decade of the new urban agenda. This is also the year where we are looking in depth to what happened to SDG 11, especially SDG 11.1, featuring housing and informal settlements. And unfortunately, we are already seeing that the world is not on track to meet the 2030 agenda. To continuously support the member states in addressing the global housing crisis, the open-ended working group on housing, which was established in June 23 as a global platform to advance policy guidance, develop practical recommendations, and support countries in integrating housing systems, has over the last 1 year delivered concrete progress. Thank you, Kenya. Thank you, the government of France. We looked at social housing, informal settlements, finance, and land. Looking ahead for 2026, under the chairmanship of Somalia and Azerbaijan, we are going to look at land, integrated housing policies, and climate resilience. As embedded in our strategic plan for 26-29, I call on our partners to embrace 3 priorities. First, let us put housing and transformation of informal settlements at the center of development agendas. Second, let's strengthen our institutions and systems for transformative change. And third, let's learn from within Africa. Allow me to recognize Kenya's leadership role on the global housing stage, primarily through 2 complementary positions: as a co-chair of the open-ended working group on housing and as a global champion of the call for action on adequate housing for all. Together in 25 countries, through the high-level roundtable on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly in New York last year, leading from the front, His Excellency President Ruto advanced a proposal for a coalition of global housing champions, a political platform for heads of states to advocate for inclusive housing policy and mobilize finance. His Excellency, Mr. President, I extend my warmest gratitude for the visible progress in urban transformation and the support you give to our mandate at UN Habitat. The outcomes of this second African Urban Forum will be directly connected to the World Urban Forum 13 to be hosted by our excellent, great partners, Azerbaijan, now in May in Baku, as it was shared. We expect Africa to be strongly there to showcase your leadership, to represent your solutions, and to influence global investments. Excellencies, this is not only a gathering. The Urban Housing Forum matters. We finish this presentation today just committing that UN Habitat stands ready to support Kenya, African Union, and all of you in the roadmap ahead through the urbanization process in Africa. Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Edie. Your Excellency, this event is co-hosted by